I'm here with Nigel Jacob, who is the co-chair of the Boston Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics, who does a lot of work with youth and civic participation. So let's just get started with what can you tell us about the role of technology in getting young people more engaged in what's going on in Boston?
Sure. So, one of the things that we've seen, certainly in Boston and in this country and around the world, is that the level of expectations amongst young people has changed in terms of their ability to expect change in the world around them and in the systems around them as well. And so, insofar as we can enable young people to learn the skills of hacking, of making, and of building both digital tools as well as sort of kind of real world tools as well. I think it gives them a sense of empowerment, and it gives them the ability to provide a very direct kind of feedback to the people that might be the other end of those systems as to what the young people are interested in. So I think there's a tremendous capability there.
I know that you've been doing an interesting project with Harvard and with community neighborhood associations, the Community Innovation Lab. Tell us about that a little bit.
Sure. So the Community Innovation Lab comes out of a couple of different sources for us in neuromechanics. On the one hand, we've been very interested in promoting greater collaboration and genuine collaboration across the various sectors, private sector, public, and civil society. But what we often find is that there is this difference in language and as well as sort of concepts and timeframes that we see across these different sectors, and as a result, it makes working together very clunky. And so that was on the one hand. So we wanted to try to create a laboratory type environment where we could bring people together and sort of smooth out some of the traditional stumbling blocks that enable them to really collaborate and to really kind of roll up their sleeves and really try to do things and think about local experiments and so on. And on the other hand, we were also in Boston, given that we are surrounded by some of the greatest universities in the world here. We're also very interested in trying to enable greater collaboration amongst those people and community organizations. So we often see, if you take a group like public policy students in particular, these are people obviously that are committed to making change nationally, internationally, locally. The challenge is often that they have the skill set that they learn in graduate school is often that of analysis, and when they come to us here in Boston City Hall, for example, they want to help. They want to get involved and solve local problems, but what we don't really do a lot of direct analysis, and in terms of that's all we do. We do a lot of delivery of actual services and actually trying to help people and support people. So we were also trying to create a very specific context in which we could turn university students into civic hackers and to connect them with community organizations to take on very specific problems and to enable this collaboration across those different groups.
This sounds like something that ought to happen in more places. Do you know of other efforts to replicate what you're doing?
I think not directly, actually. I think that certainly a lot of universities are trying to get their students out into the field. But one of the things that we've seen is that there's a tendency to want to make the university students, the graduate students or undergraduates, to treat the community organizations as clients or as customers. And that's interesting, but I think that it also, in many ways, does not enable genuine collaboration. I think that if you think of yourself as a customer, as a client, you have a tendency to sort of hold people at arm's length and sort of be a passive receiver of whatever it is that they're trying to give you. And in particular, for these community organizations, when we see it, their collaborations work best is when they're able to really, get into the fray of working with these partners to solve local problems, and where they're not being sort of held at arm's length, but rather, genuinely getting involved and sort of sweating a little bit over the development of these things and sort of prototyping and so on.
I've heard that you're working with young programmers with Code for America. What are you doing with that project?
Sure. So a couple of years ago, our mayor is very focused. Mayor Menino is very focused on young people and enabling them to get the most out of their educational life while they're in school. And so we worked with Code for America a couple of years ago to develop a set of technologies that would make learning more engaging, to enable kids really to own their learning experiences and to create tools that would be oriented around how they work as opposed to how the school system works. And so we developed a bunch of different tools, not just for kids also, but for their parents, because we're also just as interested in getting their parents more actively engaged in the educational experience also. So we developed tools that would enable sort of text-based out of school time, sort of collaboration around homework and project level work. That was called Class Talk. We developed some tools for parents, as I said, that would enable one tool in particular called Discover BPS, or sorry, Where's My School Bus, rather. That would allow parents to see, just like it sounds like, where their kids' school buses. If on a snowy day, for example, that's a big issue for parents. Discover BPS is sort of a hybrid technology that enables both kids and their parents to understand what their educational opportunities are in terms of different kinds of schools that are out there, and to present that in a way that's interesting and designed around the way people actually use the web. Those kinds of things.
Fantastic. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
And I know people are going to be very excited to hear from you and talk with you at DML 2013.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be exciting.
Okay. Thanks, Nigel.
Thanks, Howard.